The storm is coming. Markets are crashing. Banks are closing. When the economy collapses, how will you survive? You need a plan. Cash, gold, Bitcoin. Dirty Man safes keep your assets hidden underground at a secret location, ready for any crisis. Don't wait for disaster to strike. Get your Dirty Man safe today. Use promo code DIRTY10 for 10% off your order. When uncertainty strikes, peace of mind is priceless. Dirty Man Underground Safes protects what matters most. Discreetly designed, these safes are where innovation meets reliability, keeping your valuables close yet secure. Be ready for anything. Use code DIRTY10 for 10% off today and take the first step towards safeguarding your future. Dirty Man Safe, because protecting your family starts with protecting what you treasure. Disaster can strike when least expected. Wildfires, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes. They can instantly turn your world upside down. Dirty Man Underground Safes is a safeguard against chaos. Hidden below, your valuables remain protected no matter what. Prepare for the unexpected. Use code DIRTY10 for 10% off and secure peace of mind for you and your family. Dirty Man Safe. When disaster hits, security isn't optional.
Frustrating rental showdown in East New York. Tenants of an apartment unit say they've been kicked out by the woman they were trying to help, but now the landlord says she refuses to leave.
You know, they say no good deed goes unpunished, and unfortunately today, this story out of East New York is the perfect distillation of that idea. What we have right here is a married couple, and they decided that they were going to open their home to a friend that was in need, somebody called Kayla Ortiz. However, a few weeks into her stay at this particular apartment, she thought it would be a great idea to steal these people's keys, lock them out of the house, and unfortunately, because squatter laws are absolutely ridiculous and absurd, the married couple that actually welcomed this woman into their home happens to be homeless for the last 6 months. 6 months living on the streets just because you try to do something nice. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. And this is what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
I've been out of my home since January 15th.
For 159 days, Stephen Colon and his wife, Jasmine Rosario, have been homeless, forced to stay with friends.
We are now in June, and I'm still paying rent there as well.
And losing money.
So look, when you see this married couple out on the streets, some of you might be saying, well, they shouldn't have helped somebody. They shouldn't have tried to assist a friend. This is completely on them if you're an absolute psychopath. But normal, average, everyday people look at this situation and think, why is the law backing the criminal in this particular case? Why is Kayla Ortiz allowed to make this married couple homeless in an apartment that they're still paying rent? And the reason for this is because New York City has ridiculous protections for tenants, and letting somebody stay at your apartment allows those protections to kick in. And again, it's really horrible because these people are still paying the rent. They've been out of their property for over 150 days at the time of this news report. And I think this is a good time to remind all of you guys what the majority report's take on squatting is, because according to them, there are no squatters' rights in the city of New York. However, they definitely should exist, even though they definitely don't.
There's no actual squatters' rights in New York, at least. There should be, but
to the extent that it exists anywhere, it's because the alternative is brutality that people actually can't fathom, even in bygone years. That's why squatters' laws exist in England or whatever. It's because otherwise you just can't, because we're so used to enforcing bending society towards the capitalist needs now that we can't even fathom how these sorts of rights could have ever been enshrined for people that just need shelter.
Now, when you hear absolute scumbags like Matt Binder make those assertions, don't you wish he were in this situation rather than this regular ordinary married couple in the city of New York? Don't you wish he actually had to live up to his own values rather than cheering on this rampant criminality from the side? And again, I just want to remind you of another take, another gem from this individual who says, oh, this is not an issue that regular ordinary people ever have to worry about unless they own multiple properties, so you shouldn't care about this because honestly, it's not your rental properties that are being stolen.
Yeah. I do want to say What's really amazed me about this whole discourse about the squatters and everything is that, like, I've seen, like, if you're a tenant, which a large portion of this country is, if you're a tenant, why the fuck do you care about this? Like, why do I see people who are renters or tenants out there, or even someone who owns a single fucking home and that's their residence where they live? Why do you care about this? It does not affect you. It will never affect you.
Binder, it's a four-letter word, CUCK.
Again, these are the takes that you can have when you're a ridiculously stupid progressive who never actually has to live up to the consequences of what you're advocating for. When you're totally disconnected from reality, like each and every person on the Majority Report, you never have to look into the face of the victims of the policies that you actively support. You never actually have to deal with the criminals that you enable. And again, I will just point out that these people don't own multiple properties. They are now homeless and paying rent on a property that they're being locked out of. And apparently Matt Binder says, well, I guess you shouldn't care about these squatter protections. I guess you shouldn't care about these particular laws because you're not a big corporate landlord, so it doesn't really impact you, even though right now, at this moment, you are living on the streets. Right now, at this moment, you are reliant on being able to stay with friends, which again could create a situation for those friends where they think, well, maybe if we let them stay too long, they'll be able to claim squatter status on our property, and then we will be in a similar situation to them. But again, this is the ridiculous nature of the city of New York, and Kayla Ortiz needs to be named and shamed repeatedly until she gets the hell up out of these people's home.
Couple says they were trying to do a good deed by giving their friend Kayla Ortiz a place to crash for a few weeks. The results, they say,
She stole my keys, basically.
have been a nightmare, and not just for them,
a squatter type person that moved in,
but for Bailey Lockhart, the landlord,
and refused to leave,
who can't get Ortiz out. In May, he asked her one final time to leave. He says he was threatened in person and over voicemail.
I'm sick of you and that harassing me.
Ortiz claims she had a verbal agreement to pay rent to Colon and Rosario, but couldn't provide proof.
So unsurprisingly, Kayla Ortiz, this absolute monster, is of course lying, saying that she had a verbal agreement in order to pay rent to the people that she locked out of their apartment. By the way, there is no evidence at all whatsoever of this particular agreement or that she's paying rent to those individuals. And of course, she shows how nasty she is on the inside by repeatedly threatening the landlord, demanding that she be evicted, because what this actually is an elaborate extortion scheme against both the renters and, of course, the landlord. So essentially, this woman is as disgusting on the inside as those tattoos on her big old legs show us she is on the outside. And again, she's absolutely indignant. You see her getting in people's faces, threatening them. And again, I just will remind you that this is the kind of person that progressives love to enable. This is the kind of person that they're cheering on. This is the kind of person that they went to the mat for when New York State was changing some of their eviction laws in order to make it easier to get these people out. Now, unfortunately, you still end up with situations like this because you still have some squatter protections in the city of New York. It's absolutely horrible. And again, I will remind you that a hardworking married couple that's putting up $2,800 plus a month for rent for this place, they are the ones that are out of luck. They are the ones that are homeless.
She says she wants an eviction and she doesn't care what they call her.
If you are legally labeling me a squatter, then if that's the legal term for it, so be it. I have no issue with that. At the end of the day, I have rights. What happened to our rights?
Rights Rosario says aren't helping her family.
If you are legally labeling me a squatter, at the end of the day, I got no issue with that, because you know what? At the end of the day, I got rights, and part of my rights is to have possibly one of the worst nose rings I've ever seen in my entire life on her face. Again, a lot of this video is about naming and shaming Kayla Ortiz, making sure she faces the social consequences of these actions, because in reality, she's not really going to face any criminal actions. And of course, she's talking about her rights because, make no mistake about it, these criminals game the system in this way in order to take advantage of laws that are way too outdated and, of course, deprive people of their property. And while she's talking about her rights that are artificial and granted to her by ridiculous legislators in the city and the state of New York, the question that needs to be asked is, what about the lawful tenants and their rights? What about the property owner and his rights? Why should they be deprived just so Kayla can live rent-free and basically extort money out of all these different various people? Doesn't seem right, doesn't seem moral, doesn't seem just. But again, this is exactly what the city of New York allows.
There's got to be some type of justice for the people like us who do pay rent.
Lockhart is hoping for the eviction notice to finally get Ortiz packing.
You're not a tenant, and if you're not paying rent, please leave the apartment.
And get this family their life back.
I want to be home. I just don't feel safe.
Now, this is the kind of thing that makes me truly and genuinely sad, because not only are these people paying rent, but they're paying rent 4 months for a property that they have been denied access to because they are trying to meet their financial obligations. And of course, they set a court date for out in the future. That is just the beginning of what is typically a years-long process. And unfortunately, when they bring up the idea of why they don't have any rights despite the fact that they're paying rent, it's because the city of New York has designed the system this way. And again, I will just point out that this Ortiz woman, this absolute scumbag, she knew all of this getting in. She schemed like this, and she should be arrested. She should be sent to prison. She wants to live rent-free somewhere. That should be on Rikers Island, in my humble opinion, because this kind of behavior should absolutely 100% be illegal. I mean, think about how maddening this is. If this woman would have been a guest in their place like she previously was, and she would have taken something out of their apartment, stolen some of their property, took it and sold it, she would be labeled a criminal, a burglar even, under certain circumstances and certain interpretations of the law. But because she stole keys, because she locked these people out of their own place, because she denied them entrance for 5 to 6 months, for whatever reason, she is considered somebody whose rights need to be protected. And then all of a sudden, this entire legal process is set up 100% to benefit her. And again, look at the individuals that are being deprived of this. A married couple, black man, Hispanic woman, obviously doing the right things. They are married. Of course, I don't know if they have kids in this particular video. It doesn't really tell us, but they say family over and over and over again, so it could entirely be possible. They decide, because they're successful, because they're doing well in their lives, that they're gonna let a woman stay in their place as she gets back up on her feet, not realizing that her whole plan was to step all over them. And while they were at work, they essentially completely got screwed over by this particular woman, and they've been living a nightmare. And again, as we saw in the previous videos about squatting in the city of New York, if they decided to throw this woman out on her ass, like they should, like everybody should be able to in these particular situations, they would be the ones getting arrested. They would be the ones facing the criminal consequences. They would be the ones suffering, and it's all because this ridiculously horrible woman has all these rights and privileges due to the fact that she stole somebody else's place of residence. Again, rights and privileges that would not exist had she stolen anything out of the residence. But again, it's that joke that I always talk about, which is if you break into somebody's place and you steal something from somebody's place, that's a felony burglary and you might actually face some jail time for it. But if you break into somebody's place and then say it's your place, throw up your own flag and do all this other nonsense, all of a sudden that's a civil issue, and the real people who are under threat of criminal charges are the lawful property owners or the lawful renters in this particular case that have become homeless due to this woman's criminal actions. And again, the police may say this is a civil matter, this is no big deal, nothing to worry about, but in reality, this is criminal. This is a piss poor interpretation of the law. It's absolutely disgusting, and it needs to be stopped. And again, this Ortiz woman should be named and shamed repeatedly. She should be humiliated publicly. This is the kind of person that you march through the city barefoot and people throw tomatoes at her and you ring a bell behind her and people chant shame over and over and over again. But unfortunately, in the city of New York, this is the kind of person that everybody has to bend the knee to. This kind of thuggery, this kind of criminality is just made to be acceptable, and I'm sick of it. I'm disgusted by it, and it needs to be changed. But unfortunately, again, with Mondani coming into office, they might actually give this woman a medal. They might actually say, oh, innocent Baba ain't Angel Kayla, oh, she didn't do nothing wrong. She deserves to be protected even more, because in reality, isn't paying for housing like some kind of human rights violation? Ridiculous, absurd, and again, I feel so horrible for the family that has to suffer the consequences for this. And again, I hope that this woman, Ortiz, gets denied jobs and all kinds of opportunities going forward. I hope people never forget this. She deserves to live in the streets, in the gutters, honestly. Let's be real about this, and never be allowed back into civil society again, because what she's doing is this awful. Have I gone out on a limb and staked my position harsh enough? And by the way, anybody who enables her, including the scumbags over at the Majority Report, they also should be ashamed, and they should be forced to bilk over the money in order to pay for this apartment. These people should move into their places, lock them out, because they should live on the streets too. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think. It down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about absolute scumbaggery in the city of New York. Till next time.